At this point in time, none of this, or at least none of the whining, none of the crying, none of the response to this at this point in time even surprises me anymore.
Building this video. Oh, water! Oh, crap!
You just witnessed a small village in Kenya get access to unlimited clean drinking water in less than a second.
One down, 99 more wells in Africa to go. You're gonna love this video.
Combined, these 100 wells are going to give around 500,000 people fresh.
The biggest YouTuber in the world, Mr. Beast, just posted a video of him digging 100 wells in Africa. And I got to say, as an African myself, I'm not impressed because I am sick and tired of watching these palm-colored influencers using African villages as a stage for their white savior propaganda.
Guys, in case you've been living under a rock, which I'm pretty sure most of you guys have not, you may know who Mr. Beast is. You may have actually heard of him. He's the largest he's actually the largest YouTuber here on the platform. He's got like 207 million subscribers. He loves to do challenges. He loves to donate money from time to time. Of course, some people believe that his means of doing it is a little bit nefarious. I don't really think that's the case. He's definitely a master of the algorithm, and I don't believe the guy's a bad guy or anything like that, and he's also come under heat from both sides of the aisle. One of his, of course, being one of the members on his team. That rather is a different story altogether. The left got upset because he decided that he wanted to cover 1,000 separate cataract surgeries, basically helping the blind to see. Amazing what somebody can do if they've got some cash. But then again, though, we are here hearing people say stuff like, I'm not impressed. And of course, according to the article that I'm showing you now, which of course I don't read verbatim, people are upset that Mr. Beast decided to go to Kenya and let's just say provide clean drinking water by fixing up a bunch of wells, digging, drilling, all that type of good stuff to help the people out in Kenya and the surrounding areas, the surrounding countries on the continent of Africa. Now, most people know that under North Africa, like I would say it's like from like Northern Africa all the way down to about South Africa, because then in South Africa it gets a little bit different. I don't really know. I've never really been there. So all I know is that South Africa always tends to come up as a little bit more developed. But if you're from South Africa and you think I'm wrong, please comment in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys have got to say. This is more along the lines of response to the left because of basically the way they have decided to respond to somebody providing drinking water, and not only drinking water, but actual, let's just say, clean water for people to be able to bathe, shower, all that type of good stuff there. Basically, what Mr. Beast is doing here is helping people out, regardless of what his means are, regardless of what his intentions are. He's basically helping people out, and of course, he gets a lot of views. And the money that he generates, he then eventually uses for other causes. For example, Mr. Beast also had this little thing where a guy delivered a pizza to him, and he gave $100,000 to that person on the spot. He's also done shopping things where if you complete a certain shopping spree within a certain amount of time, that you get a certain amount of cash as a bit of a prize. He also had this other little incident, speaking of Africa, where he provided solar power.
As you can see behind me, the sun is now setting, and in a little while we're going to be turning on the lights for the very first time. And from now on, the kids will no longer experience darkness at night. The moment has finally come. We're just about to turn on all the lights. Mateo, the electrician, is waiting in the container, and I'm going to radio him and give him the go-ahead. Mateo, turn on the lights!
George Steinbrenner would have called in the 1970s. And I don't know if you guys know who George Steinbrenner is. He's a former owner of the New York Yankees, and I'm a guy who likes to go back and look at classic stuff. One of my favorite miniseries is The Bronx is Burning, which starred Oliver Platt and John Turturro, about my personal all-time favorite baseball manager, Billy Martin, and that whole 77 Yankees debacle and what was going on there, the Bronx Zoo, all that type of stuff, the turbulence, of course, Son of Sam, all that stuff there. And George Steinbrenner went on air one night, Howard Cosell, and said, "You're a real cream puff." That's what he called me. He called him a real cream puff. Now, some people like to say that cream puffs are people who are weak. Well, back in that time frame, it was mostly perceived as you're really a sweet guy when you actually get known. You know, hard surface, a lot of cream right there on the middle. You're actually a very, very nice guy. Once you get to actually know somebody, you're not as hard as you make yourself out to be. It was basically a compliment is what it was. That's really what Mr. Beast really kind of is. Regardless of what you think of his purposes may be, He obviously does these types of things because he generally wants to help people out. He just happens to get views off of it. So it doesn't surprise me that people on the left have gotten upset about this, and they're raising 15 counts of hell about what I'm going to show you here.
Drink. And after building some more wells on this side of Kenya, we flew south to the school system on Nairiri. And let's just say they were really happy to see us.
How's it going? Not expecting this. Thank you for the welcome. Just not even sure how to react. I appreciate it, everybody.
This village threw a welcome ceremony upon our arrival, and Nolan got really into it.
Nolan's the most awkward person I've ever met, and that's a lot coming from me.
And after being shown around the school,
Here comes our guest.
How's it going? Oh, you having a good day? It's nice meeting you.
one of the teachers showed me where the students currently get their water, which is from this river. That's extremely unsafe to drink.
This is where your students used to get water from?
Yes.
This is crazy.
Yeah. You know, students complaining of diarrhea, infections like typhoid, because this is the water we've been using. So we try to treat, but you see, look at it, you know, but at the end of the day, life has to move on. You have to get some water anyway.
This situation is obviously extremely sad. These children's lives are being limited and sometimes cut short from being forced to drink unsafe water. But at least for this village, we're gonna put an end to it right now.
I don't think this John's gonna fit. I have a big head. Let's see if we can find some water. It is raining! It's beautiful!
After the water comes out of the ground, it's fed into enormous barrels like this one. And once they're built into the water towers, all of the neighboring villages will not only have clean drinking water, but a pressurized water source as well, which in short means no more doing
To get diarrhea when they drink the water, they get sick, they got to shower and stuff, and they're not exactly coming out clean. They're just as dirty as what they were before they went in, or for the most part, still very dirty. People in Africa got it really, really hard, and when I hear people on the left complain about their living conditions, I have to ask them a question. Do you still have air conditioning? Do you still have food to eat? Do you still have the ability to go to McDonald's and buy something? Which, by the way, that's about to change. That's going to be in video number 2 tomorrow. So make sure you guys stick around for that because it's an old story that I've been sitting on. But what's going on with McDonald's is exactly what we said was going to happen. If you raise the minimum wage to $20 an hour, everything else is just going to go through the roof. So now your dollar is not going to be able to stretch the way you want it, especially given the current situation. But we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Fact of the matter is, these people really and truly have no right to complain about anything because people have always got a lot worse than them. Go to Pakistan, go to India, go to Afghanistan, go to a lot of these places that were war-torn, go to a lot of these places that are very underdeveloped, and you'll find out that the poor in these places have got a lot worse than the poor and the lower income have here. But there are always grifters, which we will get to here in a second. One of those grifters was Hassan Piker, still very, very much one of them. A guy who's got millions of dollars in his bank account, lives in a mansion, drives very, very nice cars. Don't worry, we'll get more and more in detail here in a second. Who loves to use the socialism grift, who complained about the incident when Mr. Beast decided to donate a bunch of cash to pay for a bunch of people to get cataract surgeries. He got mad about that. He got upset about that. Now, if you're upset about anything, maybe you should be upset about the fact that what Mr. Beast is doing. And some people have said that they think that Mr. Beast is doing this because he was trying to humiliate the Kenyan government. He was trying to humiliate the governments in Africa. I think that, if anything, Mr. Beast may have humiliated the radical left that's got money. I think, if anything, Mr. Beast may have just, humiliated those who virtue signal for this type of stuff, but don't really do anything. I mean, didn't Oprah Winfrey and The Rock get into some trouble recently over the Maui situation? Something about the donation, something like that. You know, you got LeBron James that are screaming social justice, and of course he does eventually create his own little school for kids in Akron, Ohio for them to go to, but of course the school eventually is not exactly without scandal. Things are going to happen, but even though I don't like LeBron, I got to give him credit for, for somewhat putting his money where his mouth was. Still, it didn't work out the way people thought, but anytime you hear liberal celebrities, you hear somebody in Hollywood run their mouth about this, they always come back with no actual true answers. They just virtue signal, and they never put their money where their mouth is. Mr. Beast is at least putting his money where his mouth is. To this next part. Now, when people talk about the rich, they talk about the wealthy, there are some things that they do complain about that I do kind of agree with, like the elitism. But at the same time, I also understand that most people of a certain income, that right there being an income over $1 million on average, give roughly 8.6% of their income to some charity or some forms of charities. Now, I can already hear somebody saying that this right here is about being able to use as a tax write-off. Well, I'm sorry, but I would rather that little bit of money go to a charity to help take care of those who are less fortunate. I don't make much money, but I do have a couple of charities that I do have a small amount of cash going to per month. Not trying to say I'm better than anybody, but just know that I really and truly want to make sure that veterans are taken care of. Being a veteran myself, especially given the fact that Veterans Day is coming up this weekend and Marine Corps birthday as well, rah. The thing that you have to understand to go on top of this is that that is going to a good cause to help out veterans, to help out people who, quite frankly, need the assistance. I think there are guys in much, much worse condition than I am. Then you got the situation of kids with cancer. So obviously, you donate a little bit of money to a cancer research center. I'm not going to tell you which one. I don't want people to know right off the bat exactly how much money I donate. I donate what I can. But then you get the people who, quite frankly, don't donate anything. Now, before I get to that, let's go back to that 8.6% and tax write-offs. Given the fact that the SALT provision was removed, that means that the wealthier Americans have to pay their state and local taxes. That was Donald Trump who did that in 2017 when he signed his tax cuts. And by the way, when you got people out there raising hell about the fact that their tax cuts are going away, they obviously need to understand that the initial tax cut was set to end in 2021. Joe Biden did not renew it. There's another tax cut in there that ends in 2023. Biden, once again, is not going to renew it. And, of course, 2025, that's how the thing works. So I don't want to hear people complain about the fact that he lied to us. We didn't get... No. You got a tax cut. The tax cut just expired. It just happened to be that the current administration did not extend those tax cuts. So you want to blame somebody for it, blame that guy. So here's the thing. These people, these wealthier people, while donating 8.6% of their salary, are also still paying probably right around an additional 8.6% in overall state and local taxes. That's probably a little bit more than that. You've also got capital gains tax. You've also got any other tax in the world. So they're actually paying a lot in taxes. As a matter of fact, the tax bracket, the more money you make, the more amount of taxes that you will pay. So spare us that bullcrap. I hear people talk about, well, they don't pay enough. No. They got to pay the taxes, and at the same exact time, and we'll talk about this again tomorrow, they've also got to cover your salary because, well, poor people can't give other poor people a job. I mean, middle class can't really give other middle class people a job. It takes somebody from the higher class to take somebody with actual money to invest into the company and actually pay people's salary. So on top of the actual burden of taxes already, they've already got to pay the salary. And at the same exact time, they're also sending money to charities. Doesn't sound to me like the wealthy are the bad guys here, but leave it to somebody to go out of their way to show you that they're not exactly all about what they say. I got this right from King of Nothing. I'll try to link it in the description box. I advise you guys watch the entire video. It's absolutely hilarious, but pay very close attention to the next 2 minutes and 7 seconds.
You no longer leftist reform capitalism? What? When have I ever strayed away from social democracy in the short term, socialism in the long term? Like, it's literally always been what I've advocated for.
Hassan bases his entire internet personality around pretending to be a socialist while simultaneously feeding off of donations and begging for subscriptions from those who make far less money than he does while living in a $3 million mansion in LA just to criticize others who live in $3 million mansions.
Dude, this is like unimaginable wealth, dude. How the fuck do people make this much money? $2.9 million near Las Vegas? Dude, oh my fucking lord, dude. What? What the fuck?
And driving a 2022 Porsche instead of, giving back to those who might actually need it. Just look at how nervous the grifter gets when even just the concept of charity is brought up.
This is a reminder, you don't have to wait for your favorite orgs to donate to charity. Go ahead and find your own favorite charity, such as, what's one of your favorites, Hassan? I like Gamers Outreach. Hassan spent all that money on a house, so he's not been giving to charity recently, which is why I can't think of any.
He keeps making contracts.
He can sit on Twitter and say he donated once or twice, but if a significant portion of his excessive amount of income is not going towards helping those who have been allegedly ruined by the system that he claims to hate so much, he is actively doing the exact opposite as to what he pretends to stand for. But socialism does not equal charity. don't get it confused, but it also does not mean being as greedy as humanly possible.
Guys, if you want to support this event, this costs a shit ton of money, but it can all be paid back just by getting merch. Shitcamp.gg. There's no sponsor or anything.
Am I going to be reimbursed for the firearms stream?
Yeah.
Riding around in private jets, wearing $1,100 shirts one day, and wearing a shirt the next day that says "Eat the Rich." That is performative acting.
Same guy I mentioned, Hassan Piker. Yeah, Hassan Piker doesn't give to charity. He's just a great big old giant cheapskate. That right there is what the hell the guy is. He preaches socialism. It's a great big giant grift. And of course, as most people know, most socialists don't exactly donate to charity. It's a very, very greedy lifestyle. It's a very, very greedy ideology. It's, for the most part, just good old-fashioned politics of envy. Now, before you look at Hassan and before you look at Cenk and the fact that Hassan really got famous because of Cenk Uygur, his uncle, let me go ahead and give you guys another example of what I mean by left-wingers not paying their fair share of taxes. Back in 2020, we found out through all the tax returns of the Democratic Party candidates that the person who donated the least amount of money when it came to charity was actually Bernie Sanders. Bernie used to go on about the millionaires and the billionaires in this country. That's what he used to do. Then he became a millionaire, and then all of a sudden he stopped going after millionaires. Let's just go ahead and be honest. The 79, 80-some-odd-year-old old commie is really just a great big giant freeloader. He always has been, as evidenced here.
Business Network joins us from New York. You've been looking over these for the past few minutes since they came out. Susan, top line analysis there?
Okay, so I was sifting through the 2018 tax returns first off, and Bernie Sanders paid an effective tax rate of 26%, which is much less the top tax bracket of these high earners. He should have paid 37%. And sifting through the details, it looks like most of that was accounted for as business income at $382,000 of that $500,000 plus, and that's being taxed at a lower rate thanks to these new tax cuts by the Trump presidency. And also, when it comes to charitable givings, I was looking at $18,000, but there's also a carryover of deductibles as well from 2017. So you can say that Bernie Sanders effectively gained from the tax cuts thanks to President Trump. But also, he reported $1 million in earnings in 2016, 2017 as well. So that's pretty significant, given that a lot of these proceeds came from the selling of his book in 2016 called Our Revolution. So those are some of the highlights so far, sifting through these 10 years of tax returns. Brett, back to you.
And just quickly, Susan, he did take this that were enabled from the new tax cuts.
Yeah, that's right. So effectively, most of his income in 2018, he only paid 26%. Most of that income is considered business income, which is taxed at in the 20% range instead of the 37%, which is what high earners above $500,000 should be paying. So yes, there is definitely a benefit here for Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders.
That you're a millionaire. You did make $1 million in 2016, 2017. You're right, the 561 in 2018. But your marginal tax rate was 26% because of President Trump's tax cuts. So why not say, I'm leading this revolution. I'm not going to take those.
Didn't even give back his tax cut. The man is an absolute cheapskate. What we found out was that he donated the least of all candidates to charity itself. So anytime that you hear somebody on the left scream and holler about somebody doing good for a bunch of people, just know that it's just good old-fashioned noise and it's full of hypocrisy. With that right there being said, guys, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sound off in the comment section. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts. I'll see you guys later.